Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, everybody, we are back, and I have a great guest with me right now. I have a motivational speaker, and I got the owner at Business Value Booster LLC, a gentleman named Douglas Brown. Douglas, how are you today, my friend?
Hey, Casey, good to speak with you again.
Nice to have you. Nice to have you. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe you can give us kind of a little review of what you do, what the Business Value Booster is, and what you speak about.
Yeah, great. Well, let me just give you the background of why I speak about it. Um, we all talk with small business owners quite a lot. I've been one myself, and the common theme is that they're all really, really hard working. And one of the big challenges with selling a business is if it depends on you to be there all of the time, buyers are going to have a hard time buying it. So one of the approaches that I've actually borrowed from elsewhere is that the challenge to get a business owner to is, can you take a 4-week vacation away from the business and have it continue to run itself? Because if you can do that, you probably have a sellable business.
Good question. That's a great way to put it. It divides right down the line. I mean, if you can do that and it will run, and you don't have to be there, because didn't you tell me that's the thing that small businesses run into, that the person who created it has got to be there every day, and without them, it's kind of worthless.
Absolutely. That's one reason I can't usually help a solopreneur that is his own business, because they're mostly, they're basically artisans, and the business totally depends on them to deliver the work, and they're doing all the marketing, everything else. It's all their relationship. So, how must I fill in behind that once that person leaves? So somehow you have to get a buyer to believe that if they took over this business from you, that you could succeed. Now, it's really important because the statistic we don't talk about much. So people talk about, startups, 80% of them fail in the first 5 years. So you want to buy an ongoing business because it's proven that it can operate and it's a safer investment. But when it comes time for that business to sell and you want to exit it, the ugly statistic that nobody talks about is that 87% of small businesses never sell. When the owner leaves, the business closes and they get nothing for it. That's a scary number.
It really is. I mean, these people put everything into it, and 87%. Wow, that is a sobering fact.
And the good news that goes with that, I suppose, is that you don't have to do very much to not be in the 87%. So the business value booster method has basically 2 components to it, one of which is removing obstacles. And those are the things that get you in the 87% that can't sell the business.
This is great information. I can't wait to hear this. Okay, so let's start there.
And the second part is what I call the improvement aspect, which is where you take yourself from being able to sell the business for some price, which means, more than $1, up to getting above average prices, which typically means 2 to 3 times your net income. And those are things you can do by business improvements, and they don't have to be very costly, but you do have to start now. They're the kind of things that when you realize, and one of my sayings is, someday could arrive tomorrow. Tomorrow you find out somebody in the family's got a terrible illness, you're going to have to spend time dealing with that. Tomorrow your kids have some issue. Tomorrow you get offered some fantastic deal to be the vice president at Google, and they're going to pay you a 10-digit salary and all the rest of it. Okay, well, I need to sell the business. I mean, my case, I had a small business. I got called up. It was pretty improbable, but the unit I was in, they decided, oh, yeah, we could use you guys in support of the Iraq war. And they're, oh, okay, so I got this small business I'm trying to build. I'm going to be on this sand dune 10,000 miles away, and somebody's going to be calling me up to get, put money in the account so we can make payroll. I can't do that.
You're right.
So I had to sell the business, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a business broker back then. So someday can arrive tomorrow. It can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. But if your business is not ready to sell, you're going to be in that 87%.
Do you
But we
think
can
if people
avoid
knew
that.
that, if people knew that, you think there'd be so many small businesses?
Yeah, because a lot of these businesses we're talking about, they're profitable.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I mean the owner's taking home 100,000, 150,000 a year, maybe. And on the surface of it, you say, well, yeah, you should be able to sell that for maybe $300,000-400,000 at least. And then you get to one of these, the obstacles, what I call the showstoppers. I use a STOP acronym, STOSP, and S means seller attitude. A lot of times the seller thinks they're doing the buyer a favor by letting them buy their business. And the buyer's sitting there with a bag full of money going, you're the one that's trying to get out of having a business. So,
I'm the lucky one.
yeah. And, it's going to be a 3 or 4 month process of being a transaction. If you get under their skin on day one, they're just going to move on
Yeah.
because businesses and, we're all used to the real estate market, right? Businesses are totally different from the real estate market. If I want to buy a house, there's houses out there, 3 or 4 kinds of houses, but there's 30 of them out there.
Right.
And there's a bunch of buyers like me chasing the houses. So there's a balance. If I decide I want to get into the florist shopping business where I live, for example, there was 4 in the whole town. Now there's 3 because one of them went out of business. And 2 of them aren't selling. So you'd think, well, that seller's got it made, right? I got a buyer looking for business. I can charge whatever I want. Well, no, because there's only 2 buyers in the entire state of Virginia looking for a florist shop right now.
Uh-huh.
And they've got several alternatives. They don't have to buy one in this zip code. They could buy one down the street 10 miles away. So, if the seller cops the wrong attitude, it's a different market. So the market tells you what the deal is going to be. You don't decide.
Right.
The next part is the T is the taxes, licenses, and books.
That's got to take
Happens
a
all the
while.
time.
Does
I
it
had a
take a
guy
while?
the other day, great business, has a nice, I won't say what kind it is even.
Mhm.
Nice business, been around for 25 years. I looked at it and I said, well, you do understand you cannot sell this business because it doesn't legally exist. I said, what are you talking about? Well, you decided to stop paying the Secretary of State 4 or 5 years ago for your corporate registration.
For the LLC.
Yeah, so your corporation doesn't exist. You're lucky nobody else took that name already. Otherwise, this business license you got wouldn't even belong to you. It would belong to
Wow.
somebody else.
How do people make those mistakes? I mean, you would think that's like
Penny
important.
wise, pound foolish, right? I mean, this particular case, this guy had one of those registered agents, you know how they do, that'll keep your company for you. And the guy was charging him $100 a year or something to keep the license current. He's going, that's crazy. I could renew the thing myself for $25 a year. Well, yes. But when he turned off the registered agent and told him, okay, I'm done with you now, the registered agent didn't send him the reminder. 5 years later, and we fixed the problem for $250, right?
Yeah.
But that's the simple one.
Mhm.
If you need a food service license and you don't have it, or your health inspection is at 25%,
And they,
or
they could
those
shut
kind
you
of
down
things.
for that, right?
Well, they could shut you down, and even if they haven't, if I'm a buyer, I'm looking to buy a restaurant. How many restaurants are there for sale? I'm not buying the one that's got a C- score. So,
All these are
that's part of
great things to think
taxes,
about.
licenses, right? All those things, the books, right? I have people, I'm not going to show these people my tax returns. That's private. Where you're trying to sell the business based on the profit
You
you say
kind of
you're making.
gotta.
So it's not that private.
Right, right.
And if you don't want to, then the buyer's going to say, great, your business is worth nothing. I'll give you $30,000 for all this $100,000 worth of equipment you got in here. That's the deal. Take it or leave it.
Wow.
Or I'll do business with somebody else who's willing to be reasonable. So there's that.
Hmm.
Then the O we kind of talked about earlier on just now is this owner dependence thing.
Yeah.
If I'm the buyer and I can't buy a street artist's business, right? Because it depends on the artist being a good artist and selling their stuff.
Mhm.
Take the artist out of the picture, you got nothing.
Right.
So I can't buy that. And then finally, the P is the premises or professionalism. The owner's got to be able to visualize themselves owning this business. And when they're hanging out at the pub or the club or whatever kind of social milieu they hang out in,
Hmm.
they want to be able to say, yeah, man, I'm the owner of XYZ LLC and we do this stuff. It's really cool. Come check out my business someday.
Hmm.
And, yeah, I'm a business owner.
Right,
Have another cigar,
right, right.
right? That's what you want. You don't want like, I got this business and, no, don't come see me. I'll meet you somewhere else.
Yeah. When you're explaining, you're losing.
Well, and it's not even explaining. Like, so I had a guy who was a friend who, well, the business I had, right, was a mobile oil change business, basically. I mean, you talk about dirt. We had like black oil every day came back from the job, but we had clean uniforms for people. We had wash up places. We made sure the tools were clean and exuded professionalism. And you got even a customer, you come on the lot and you want to work on their $200,000 truck and you're looking good. They go, okay. And, or you show up, maybe you got 30 years of mechanic experience, but you show up in your torn overalls with a truck that looks like it's falling apart and you got a couple of dirty rags hanging out of your pocket. The guy's going, well, I don't know. So the same thing when you're selling the business. So this friend of mine, he had a great business. He made comfortable like 200,000 plus a year himself personally in this business. But the business was picking up dog poop. Oh man. Well, that doesn't sound very attractive. And who wants to go that, right? But he had people who did it. They had uniforms, they had clean trucks. He had this facility where they dumped all the stuff in and they incinerated, and they had all kind of environmental awards for the way that they did it. Sold it big time.
And that would work without that guy being there every day. That seems like he could go on
Right.
vacation for 4 weeks and it
And
would
it's
still
one of
work.
those things where you can tell people, yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, but yeah, I have some folks and we kind of clean up people's yards for them. And when we make six figures doing it, hey, come check out my place. It's kind of weird, but it's cool.
Yeah.
And an owner can go, yeah, I'm not out there in the yard myself. I think I can do that.
Yeah, that's a great example, man.
So those are your stop factors right there.
Yeah,
And
those are
a
good.
business that's
Those are good.
got those, you're just not going to sell.
Hmm. Let me ask you about something. Um, Small business owners fall into, and I don't know why there isn't any legislation about this. Tell me if you know anything about this, where a small business owner will get stuff in the mail and they word it in a way where it looks like you have to buy these signs or you have to do this or, horrible things will shut you down if you don't do this. And then you get, into like the 10th page in small letters and it says, this is a solicitation. You have no, uh, you don't have to buy this, but the way they word it puts you in a panic. Have you ever seen small business owners deal with stuff like that? And should you think there be legislation to stop that? Because it's like
Yeah, I mean, we all get
bullying
them,
a
right?
little guy.
Yeah, we all get them. I mean, I'm the same thing. I've got an LLC and I get stuff like that all the time where, oh, you need your Department of Labor posters in your workplace and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. Um, one of the things that I tell sellers or even people are thinking about selling is, you have a business that's worth more than your house, probably. This is not a trivial thing. You need to invest $1,000 a year or so, maybe in a qualified attorney that knows what they're doing. You need an accountant that knows what they're doing. You need, um, eventually, you need a business broker to help you sell because as a small business owner, we tend to think, yeah, I'm smart, I'm hardworking, I've worked my way through problems before. If I keep knocking my head against the wall, sooner or later, I'm going to find the soft spot. I'm going to get it through, right? Because that's how we do things. We don't spend money if we don't have to. We try and figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Legal stuff that could shut down your business, you don't want to figure this out, right? You pay $500 one time, you're done.
Yeah, good idea.
Or maybe it's $200. There's nothing you can do about spam. I mean, anybody has access to the state corporations websites
They
and
just
as
find
soon
that
as the
you
new
have a
business
business.
registered, oh, here you go, boom, mail it out. Same people that send you things of, oh, you want to buy office tchotchkes for your marketing, do you need liability insurance, do you need a virtual assistant? It's all the same. um
Stuff like
yeah
that
it,
makes me so angry. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure. You're right. It's all taken care of there's someone to take care of that. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have those headaches, I guess. But it's just that greedy taking advantage of people who are working hard. I just I don't respect that, and I don't know how it's legal, but it
I
is.
have a hard time, I can't get angry with the telemarketer. Like my wife goes, "Why do you even answer those calls?" I said, "Well, because I don't know. In my business, it could be any area code calls me up and says, 'Hey, need help with the business.' So you never know."
Mhm.
And it's some dude who, "Hey, can I sell you this? Can I build your website for you? Can I?" Well, I know that guy's just getting paid, $8 an hour or $10 for each successful call they complete. They're trying to put bread on the table. I get that. I can't be mad at them.
Right. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So, I don't like blow air horns in the phone and people do this kind of stuff, right?
I never heard that.
Yeah. I mean, people do weird stuff and I don't do that, but I do get them off the phone, but
Mhm.
it's annoying.
But it's honest. It's, hey, I got something. Do you want it or not? Kind of.
Yeah.
I'll try and get you to buy it. But when they're using these other tactics that
Yeah.
I think are pretty slimy.
Yeah.
Well, you've given us some great information so far. This business value booster. Who's the best candidate? How can people, if they ask themselves that question, the 4-week vacation question, if they say, well, this place definitely needs me. Can you work with them still, or
Yeah, sure. I mean, of
yeah?
course. I mean, if a person already has their business humming, where they don't have any obstacles, where they've already worked to optimize the improvement factors, right? Which are more profits, more customers, um, stable and reliable staff.
No taxes, no
Well, I mean, those are, yeah,
nonsense.
those are removing the obstacles, but even the things you can do if a business is doing that, okay, they feel like they're indispensable to business. We can work on that because there are ways, because in a way, it's like, so you're telling me that you've got this great business, but you don't trust these people enough to run on a shift by that. Let's start with take a day off,
Mhm.
right? Go take your phone, put it in your drawer, go out and go to the park with your dog, whatever, but just be a day away from the business. See what happens. And yeah, you don't just start, boom, okay, I'm going to take off 4 weeks. There's a whole effort there of looking at, well, what are all the business processes I've got? What would I be worried about going wrong? Fix those processes first so that the staff knows if a customer calls in with this issue, this is what I do. Um, this is how I sell something to make sure the customer doesn't complain about it. But the reason why we say 4 weeks is because most companies, your business cycle turns in 30 days. Customer places an order, whatever your service is, you fulfill the order, you get paid, customer has a day or two to complain about that. All that happens within 30 days, right?
Right.
So if your business can handle you being gone for 30 days, you pretty much got it. And you definitely segue into it. You don't start out with a 4 week vacation if right now you never go anywhere, but you set a goal. And one of the things, like when you set a goal, I want you to put a non-refundable deposit on a trip to, somewhere for a week, a year from now. You can do it for a week, right? I mean, even if it's checks have to be paid, they'll wait 4 or 5 days,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But what do you got to do to be able to go for a week? And we can lead from there.
So you'll help people get to where they need to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not just going to tell them, yeah, this is what you got to do. Do it. I mean, they can do that, right? So people can buy the book, they can look at the program, they say, yeah, I could do that. Nothing I would tell them is something that they don't know if they listen to business podcasts, if they read any business books, if they talk to their fellow business owners. It's kind of like when I was in corporate, you had to go to this training every year about stuff, how to treat your employees properly, what your ethical disclosure. Look, I know this.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you don't do it. So you're going to get trained again on it because you didn't do it last year.
yeah.
And this is the same thing. I mean, by the time you get through the business, I mean, the stuff we've talked about today, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you should have a business license. Everybody knows that. Well, then why don't you have a business license?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? So these are things that an owner could do, but they're already telling me, oh, I can't get away from the business. I'm working 16 hours a day as it is. I can't take on these other projects. maybe you need a coach. So what I tell people, like Michael Jordan had a coach.
Yeah.
Right? And coach didn't take the shots for him. The coach said, "Hey, Michael, we're up by 2. Don't foul."
Right.
Right?
Right.
"Oh, yeah, yeah. Simmer down. I can see you're on the edge now. You're about to clock somebody. Don't do that. You're going to get we're going to lose the game." Right?
It makes sense.
Yeah. Pele had a coach. Tiger Woods had a coach. Tiger Woods made the shots, but sometimes the coach had to slap him around the head and go, "Tiger, and win this. Let's do it." Right?
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
totally.
businessvalueboosters.com. Yeah, we'll definitely be happy to work with anybody now who is not. If you're a solopreneur, we can help you elevate your sites to have people work for you. There's some people that just flat don't work. They don't want that. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine as long as you understand that when you retire, you can't sell your business. You're done.
Got it.
And if it's over about a $5 million revenue, now you're talking stock sales and stuff like that. That's a whole different process.
I got you. Hey, Doug, how did you get to be such an expert on this stuff? Where did you get all this info? I mean, were your parents entrepreneurs, business people? Um, how did you become such an expert?
Well, I tell you, I don't have the background to just inherently know all this stuff, but I'm really good at making every mistake at least once.
Okay.
Right? Like when I sold my business, the one I was telling you about, I mean, I didn't know there were business brokers and all that. I did well building the business. I actually sold the business. I mean, I didn't know back then the odds were next to nothing you would sell the business, but that's where the problems began because I didn't know how to sell it. So here we are 15 later. I still got one piece of litigation pending where we're waiting for the guy to pay off the rest of the money that was owed, right?
Okay.
And I'm never going to collect it. I enjoy renewing the lawsuit just to upset him, right? So yeah, I've learned by making a lot of mistakes, but the business value booster method, I looked at all of the major programs that are out there. A lot of them are aimed at M&A businesses. A lot of them are aimed at internet businesses. So Main Street businesses, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the medical transport company, all those kind of things, they're not internet services that can just electronically pick up and move and become something different. So I took from watching 30, 40, 50 transactions happened, even working with a brokerage, half of those transactions never go to completion. The business doesn't sell. The contracts, half of those don't go to completion. You kind of watch, go, okay, what happened here?
Yeah.
So I took the best of the best and I made the Business Value Booster program about those Main Street businesses between $500,000 and $5 million a year revenue.
Okay. All right. So that's the
That's the box.
that's the box. Got it. So, Douglas, always love picking your brain. Always love hearing. But let me give you the last word here. Anything that you want to leave us with, and then let us know how to get a hold of you. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, great. Well, first thing is what we said earlier, don't leave off planning until someday, because someday does tend to arrive uninvited, usually tomorrow. If you're not prepared, you're going to be in the 87% of businesses that don't sell at all. As a minimum, you won't make it up into the 6% of businesses that get a fair price.
Wow.
And so, yeah, contact me, businessvaluebooster.com, and we'll see what we can do for you.
All right. Douglas, have a very happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for doing such a great job here on the show and giving us this great information. And can't wait to hear what you have to say next. So thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.